Hello, my name is Justin Moralez, and I'm running for mayor for the City of Cudahy. I would like to start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I moved to Cudahy 13 years ago as an early migrant from Bayview. In 2013, I decided to run for alderman, ultimately winning the responsibility to serve my neighbors in the 1st District. During that time, I served as Common Council President as well as Chairman of the Finance Committee, helping oversee an annual budget of $14 million. With the help of my colleagues, we were able to increase our bond rating with Moody's and Standard & Poor and produce 6 consecutive surplus budgets. Additional assignments during that time include serving as Chairman of the Rules, Laws, and License Committee, Chairman of the Traffic and Safety Committee, Vice President of the Library Board, and sitting member of the Personnel and Plan Commission. During that time, I learned a lot of critical thinking skills, the ability to work with a highly diverse constituent base, as well as analyzing and finding solutions to problems to meet the needs of the people that I represented. I have several issues that I'm particularly proud of during that time, one of which was passing a non-discrimination ordinance in 2014, making Cudahy just the 4th city in the entire state to do so, and still to this day the only to do so unanimously. I also helped author a conversion therapy ban, making Cudahy again just the 4th city in the entire state to have both of these inclusionary ordinances. I also authored and helped lead the effort to pass declaring racism is a public health crisis in Cudahy. This is not to say that Cudahy in and of itself is racist. However, it takes a look at the city's overall assessments of internal policies and make sure that racial equity is a core element of the city's practices and operations. I also helped lead policy initiatives to reduce discriminatory wage gaps. Education-wise, I got my bachelor's degree in communication from Marquette University. I'm wrapping up with my master's degree in political management from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. And I attended the Harvard Kennedy School of Government for their executive education program in emerging leadership. A few recognitions in regards to my past. I was named one of 6 need-to-know people in Milwaukee, as well as one of 39 most influential Latinos in Wisconsin. So obviously the issues for Cudahy and the citizens that we're facing are important. There's 4 of them in particular that I'm focused on: connecting the community, revitalization, and investing in innovation, as well as grocery stores. Now, connecting the community is incredibly important because in 2019, only 2,300 people decided in an election of a city of nearly 20,000 people. If elected mayor, I want to ensure that all people are able to be heard and have the opportunity to become well informed. So I am proposing streamlined access to information, enhanced communication and transparency of operations and plans, as well as better social media management. Now, it feels like just yesterday that I was proposing many of these same things, but this is me 10 years ago as a spry young man running for alderman, seeing a lot of the similar stuff that I'm telling you right now. And we have made some strides. This is what the website looked like a year ago or the date that I took office. A year later, you can see that we've made some noticeable changes, and now this is how the website looks today. However, it's still clunky, inefficient, and leaves a lot to be desired. Most importantly, it is not updated and well maintained. As you can see, the minutes for city council meetings have not been updated in nearly 8 months. So if it wasn't for me streaming minutes or meetings live for the past several years, very few people within the city would actually know what is happening and the important decisions your government is making for you. And there's ability to easily keep people informed, including a mayoral page that has not been updated in 3 years. So I'm proposing and recommending high-quality meeting recordings made readily available across multiple platforms, consistent meeting recaps and follow-up, improved email registration and communication, digital newsletter delivered monthly, and enhanced website features, access to information, online permitting, and consistent department operation updates. Now, these recommendations and this campaign is already starting to move some of these issues forward. For the first time in 8 months, the meeting minutes have been recently updated. The first time in 3 years, there has been a Common Council meeting recap. And as you can see from the graph here, social media has increased exponentially. To no surprise to anybody, the trend here is that this always happens to take place just prior to an election and then drops off sustainably. Cudahy deserves a mayor for 3 years, not 3 months. As the mayoral position transitions into a part-time role, it is essential that the city adopts an ambitious marketing strategy to move away some of the negative connotations that has stagnated this city, including excess taverns, storage facilities, and general depression. We really need to focus on the amenities that we know as Cudahy residents are incredibly important. Access to the lakefront, proximity to downtown and to Bayview, great park space, as well as many, many unique small businesses. So top areas of focus that I'm proposing for as your candidate for mayor is increased investment in business development and infrastructure enhancement, revitalization of Packard Avenue, and comprehensive planning. And we are making some moves over the past several years to put Cudahy in a better position. The media is out there and noticing, and the city is transitioning. The Milwaukee Business Journal recently released an article that Mequon, Delafield, Fox Point, and Cudahy are the fastest and hottest housing markets in all of southeastern Wisconsin. Now, it's been a hot housing market in general, but in relation to our neighbors, South Milwaukee only saw a 7% increase, St. Francis saw 13%, Cudahy saw a 21% increase of housing value in just the past year. Realtors are pointing to Cudahy as being the next Bayview alternative. They are saying that it is a hidden gem and that the taxes are one of the best in southeastern Wisconsin. And people are just becoming to love it. However, we have faced a number of different challenges, including the closing of TID 1. This TIF district ran for nearly 30 years and closed just in 2021. However, state law mandates a 5-year wind-down period. So from 2016 to 2021, the city has not been able to offer some of the same incentives. So while Oak Creek was able to offer $525,000 to Aldi's to build there, Cudahy was not able to compete. Now, in August of last year, the Common Council did approve TID 5, which will encompass much of the south end of the city and be a long-term financial tool to build out and redevelop some of this highly needed area. However, what sets me apart from the current administration has been a history of poor decisions. We're often our own worst enemy at times, and I point to a decision towards the end of my term where the Common Council, with a split decision by the mayor, decided to reject $2 million in grant money to redevelop Packard Avenue simply because it would have reduced traffic patterns as well as included bike lanes. Now, it's for the city the size of Cudahy to turn down that type of opportunity is simply inexcusable, in my opinion. For people who don't know about TIF, the bottom line is that it's a geographically targeted economic development tool. And we know that we need this tool. Packard Avenue is in serious need of some decent help. We have Packard Plaza with the roof of the building literally falling down on and of itself. With this TIF, we'll be able to look at some potential opportunities such as buying Packard Plaza, redeveloping it, and making a much more modern use of that space. However, that takes time to build up the fund within the TIF and in order to plan for the future. However, there are things that we can do at this moment to make some immediate changes. And I point to a building right on Packard Avenue that has sat empty for nearly 2 decades now. This is a picture of it in 2007, empty. 2011, still empty. 2014, empty. 2017, empty. Now it's starting to accumulate garbage in it. 2019, you can see the windows are just filled with trash. And this is what it looked like in December of 2021. By just reaching out to the owner and building a relationship, we were able to transition it into a well-lit and a relatively aesthetically pleasing window display, which, while it will not revolutionize economic development in the city, it does go a long way to show that we're trying and that we're going to put our best foot forward. And we need to do this because we have some big plans in the work, including the TID district that I just mentioned, which has an estimated 25-year lifespan and a $46.2 million estimated value. The problem here is that very few people know these plans even exist in the community. And how can we reach our goals if most of the citizens don't even know what we are, or what they are? The city has invested a significant amount of money in plans such as the Gateway District and City Center Plan, of which has many bold propositions, include increasing walkability, enhanced green space, enhanced infrastructure, and in an enriched identity and city center space that I think that most would agree is all things that we will want as a community. However, as I have mentioned, very few people even know that this ambitious planning exists, and I will point to a video here that was produced by the city that has very, very few views, and it will be wildly transitional. All right, these plans are not unique. The city has a 2050 plan that is supposed to serve as the framework for how the city moves forward over the next several decades. However, we've had this in the past, including a 2020 plan, of which had many of the same positive elements that we see in the planning today, including additional green space, walkability, and even bike lanes. Now, The irony here is that when the time comes to implement some of these plans, the city rejected them by the very same people and current administration who approved these plans in 2009. So how are we to entrust that we are going to be able to move forward when, given the opportunity, we vote against ourselves and our own best interest? So I am proposing a progressive vision for the future. And when I say progressive, it's not the left or the right as we have come to know it in Cudahy. It's the very essence of the word progress. I want us to leverage opportunities and build partnerships, develop vacant lot improvement programs, and target Packard Avenue, such as ATI and Packard Plaza, for enhanced revitalization. I want to increase walkability, provide additional alternative transportation access, and increase our traffic safety. And most importantly, we need to focus on oversight and implementation of these strategic plans with full communication and increased advocacy on behalf of the city. I believe that my experience and education background best serves the city and its residents to move this forward. And again, that includes investing in innovation. But innovation takes time. So in addition to those previous proposals, I am suggesting establishing and funding neighborhood associations, providing home improvement programs, landscaping workshops and incentives, increasing community events, and producing cultural events. Now I point to Bayview, and we all know Bayview has been thriving over the past years. And in particular, it is because they have a very strong and viable neighborhood association. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. We can just look to our neighbors right next door and see exactly what is working for them and do what we can to get built-in an investment from neighbors here in Cudahy to really transition our city, not just for the long term, but for the immediate needs that we face. Now, grocery stores. As I'm going around and I'm talking to people, the number one thing that I hear from people is that they would like a grocery store. As most of the residents in Cudahy knows, we had Pick and Save located on Packard Avenue that left us several years ago. However, reaching out to a local commercial development firm, I asked for them to put together a drive analysis of grocery stores in the area. Pick and Save in St. Francis is 5 minutes away. Walmart is 3 minutes away, and Piggly Wiggly in Oak Creek is 6 minutes away. So it is challenging and unlikely at this time that we will be able to recruit another big box grocery store. So what do we do? Well, we could launch a Viking-style raid on St. Francis or South Milwaukee and seize back 1,000 feet of property and claim it as our own. Or a more practical decision would be to focus on corner stores and small boutique markets. This is a Polish market that is opening up on Howard and Howell, not far from us. Those of you that are familiar with Grappi's in Bayview is an iconic landmark that produces a lot of the amenities that the neighborhood needs, which is actually further away from any grocery store than any resident in Cudahy is at this time. Long term, I point to a project that Green Bay recently invested heavily in, which is a public market. This was just released a few weeks ago, and I think serves as a potential model as we move and reposition ourselves, we build our density, we invest in innovation. Something like this is, I really think, a potential opportunity to serve the growing needs of the people of Cudahy. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me anytime or visit my website, trustinjustin.org.